Hi all, it's Dr. Connolly. Welcome to Module 6, our last and final one for the semester. I'm glad you made it this far. Before we get going and talk a little bit about today's module, I want to address some issues with the last exam and talk about the upcoming one. Regrettably, with the last exam, I discovered some cheating. It's something that I am honestly very unfamiliar with, at least with myself. In my capacity as a department head, I've had to deal with other faculty members who have had cheating in their classes, but I haven't had to deal with it in my class. So I can't tell you how disappointed I am to find out that some students don't take the class honestly as seriously as most of you do, and in fact have engaged in student misconduct. Okay, so because of that, know that Melanie and I, at the end of the course, will be looking over all of the exams, for example, again, and making sure that we are confident that the answers were done by each of you individually, and that we will do that before we post final grades for the class. All right, and so with the upcoming exam, you'll probably get your exam grades at the end of the following week, but exam overall grades won't be due for several weeks after that, and we'll take some time to again look over the course materials. Again, and also if you have any knowledge about misconduct in the class, I would really appreciate hearing about it. Okay, and so that's some of the bad news. Um, uh, and then turning to the exam from last time, the first question, a question that all of you answered, addressed the topic of intersectionality, and one of the um, findings that I had from reviewing the exam was that many of you did not refer to the course materials in terms of your definition of intersectionality. I've addressed that twice on podcast, and again, this would be one where I am actually talking, this is preaching to the choir. You're the ones who actually listen to the podcast, and it's my guess that you were the ones who did well in terms of the definition of intersectionality, but that the concept is far more complicated than what you get from, I think some people quoted google.com or Wikipedia, and that didn't give you a thorough enough background in order to answer that question well enough. And so you'll see on our module course materials for this site that I've added some additional links on intersectionality. So if you have some questions about that theoretical concept and how to apply it, there are 3 links. Some are more anecdotal. One is actually an empirical paper that analyzes how intersectionality has been used in top journals in the past little while. Okay, so this upcoming module, again, our last one, there's lots of reading. I'll get to that in a second. You have one and only one discussion post for this week, all right? And that will be due on Wednesday. Your third and final exam is due on Thursday or Friday. Again, Thursday or Friday, not Friday or Saturday, because our course is officially done on Friday. So again, a 1-hour exam on Thursday or Friday. It's similar in terms of format as the last 2 exams. There are 2 questions for you to answer. All right, have all of your materials ready in order to answer those questions. Some of them are long and complicated, and you really do need to have your notes ready and able to go. I think most of the questions has you do some analysis on your own. All right, in terms of those materials, comparing and contrasting of other materials. All right, you need to remember, right, what is the format of an empirical research paper, be able to summarize, right, articles from this module using that kind of format, and then to have you reflect upon that. Okay? All right. So, good luck. on that last exam. Also know on the module, or actually I think it's right after this module, there is a place for any kind of course feedback that you have. All right, I'd really appreciate answers to those questions, what you found that went well, what could go better, which were some of your favorite modules or sections, things like that. And so that will kind of help us think about next year. All right, so we've come to the end. And the end is to have us think about contemporary feminism. Last week we did first wave feminism, those kind of remarkable pieces, right, from the turn of the last century and even before, right, in terms of suffrage, and to kind of read that passionate old material. In fact, thinking of passions, I just want to mention I am recording this on Friday. Earlier today, the U.S. Supreme Court came out with what will be considered a landmark decision for generations to come in terms of 14th Amendment jurisprudence, in terms of marriage equality. And I'm curious to see how the judges have written. In fact, I hear the dissent, so those judges who disagreed have some language that to me sounds very comparable to some of that language that was used from the turn of the last century. Very passionate. I'm curious to see about those majority writers as well, if they have kind of passionate language regarding issues of same-sex marriage. Okay, but going back to, we've got historical materials from the last module and then contemporary materials where we talk about kind of the second wave and the third wave women's movement. All right, the second wave movement kind of beginning in like the late 1960s, bringing us through the 80s, all right, kind of talking about kind of women's rights, all right, the expansion of just the kind of basic kind of notion of woman to kind of standpoint feminisms that, that a Black woman's feminism, a Latina women's feminism is crucial in terms of kind of understanding the multiplicity of women's experiences, and then a global women's feminism. All right, not everyone lives in a country like the United States, and so for us to think globally as well as locally. All right, also we've got elements that talk about men's roles. All right, and importantly, we have in that final unit a whole section on talking about violence against women. All right, this is one of those issues that honestly first wave feminists dealt with as well. Oops, sorry, my phone just went off. That first wave feminists dealt with as well. And our readings didn't point it out, but first wave feminists were very concerned about some other issues. One was violence against women. And you'll see first wave feminists who became very involved not only in the suffrage movement, but also the prohibition movement, with the notion, the idea that it was alcohol that drove men to beat their wives, to use the language from back then. We have addressed that issue again today. And so what you have are several readings, several podcasts, all right, about the issue of violence against women and what has been and is being done about it. Okay? You kind of end with readings that talk about the contemporary women's movement, all right? Forever feminism or post-feminist, all right? Have you think about those kind of two concepts. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the readings. I hope that you've enjoyed the class. Know that I have enjoyed you. All right, I wish you the best. I wish you a happy 4th of July. And stay in contact. I hope to see you in other gender and women's studies classes. Bye-bye.